If you have ever closed your eyes during a piece of music and felt your chest tighten in the most beautiful way, as though the melody knew every secret you had ever kept, then you already understand what it means to be in the presence of Il Volo. Welcome, dear friends. Whether you have followed Gianluca Ginoble, Ignazio Boschetto, and Piero Barone since the very beginning, or you stumbled upon one of their performances on a sleepless night and have never quite recovered, this is your space. This is a story told for you, with the same warmth and wonder that these three young men have always offered the world. Today, we are stepping behind the velvet curtain, not into gossip, not into tabloid territory, but into something far more tender. We are exploring the love lives of Il Volo, and the moments, both on stage and in quiet corners of this earth, that they have rarely spoken about publicly. So settle in. Let the music begin. There is a night in Buenos Aires that longtime fans still speak about in hushed, reverent tones. The arena was packed beyond expectation, the air thick with anticipation and the faint scent of jasmine drifting through open venue doors. When Piero stepped forward under a single amber spotlight and began to sing, not the rehearsed opening they expected, but a soft, unscripted verse in Spanish, the audience fell into the kind of silence that is rarer than applause. It was the silence of people who have been seen. Fans described the moment as feeling like a private serenade, as though Piero were singing not to thousands but to one. Many in the audience were seen wiping tears before the first chorus had even arrived. Did you feel this moment too? Because those who were there say they will carry it for the rest of their lives. What few people have discussed openly is the way that love, real, complicated, quietly carried love, has quietly shaped Il Volo's music. Gianluca, known for the warmth in his baritone that seems to come from somewhere older than his years, has spoken in rare, careful moments about how deeply personal each lyric becomes when you are young and learning what it means to feel things for another person. Viewers around the world shared how his performance of certain ballads stayed with them, not because of technical perfection, but because they could hear something unguarded in his voice. Something that sounded like longing. Something that sounded like memory. Have you ever felt music like this before? That sensation where a singer's emotion becomes your own. In Rome, during a performance that was broadcast to millions, Ignazio paused mid-song. Just for a breath. A single, suspended heartbeat between one note and the next. The orchestra waited. The audience waited. And in that silence, something passed through the arena like a current. Ignazio has always been the one who wears his heart with the least armor, the one whose laugh fills a room but whose eyes during a ballad reveal something quieter and more searching. Fans who were present that evening described the moment as electric, not because of volume or spectacle, but because vulnerability at that scale, in front of that many people, takes a kind of courage that most of us will never fully understand. The standing ovation that followed lasted nearly 4 minutes. Many in the audience did not sit back down for the rest of the concert. There are stories, shared softly in fan communities and never fully confirmed, of Il Volo receiving letters from audience members who credited their performances with helping them through heartbreak, through grief, through the particular ache of loving someone who could not stay. What moves deeply about these accounts is not that the music was a cure, it was never meant to be, but that it was a companion. In Japan, where the trio performed to audiences who did not share their language but shared every emotion, a video circulated of an elderly woman in the front row holding a photograph throughout the entire concert. She never let go of it. No one asked who was in the photograph. They did not need to. Which city's performance touched you the most? For many fans, it is not always the grandest stage that leaves the deepest mark. Sometimes it is a smaller venue in a city no one expected. An outdoor concert in Spain where the wind carried Piero's high notes across the square and strangers reached for each other's hands without thinking. Sometimes it is the way Gianluca looked off stage for just a moment before beginning a particularly personal song, as though gathering something from somewhere private and invisible, and then turning back to the light. These are the gestures that cameras catch but that words can barely hold. The love lives of Il Volo are, in many ways, inseparable from the music itself. They are not separate chapters, one public, one private. They are woven together in the texture of every performance, every carefully chosen lyric, every note held a fraction longer than the sheet music requires. Ignazio once said, in an interview translated and shared thousands of times across fan pages, that he believes love is the only subject worth singing about. Because every other human experience, when traced back far enough, leads there. Whether it is the love between two people finding each other, or the love of a child for a parent long gone, or the love of a young man for a place he has left behind, it is all, ultimately, the same ache reaching for the same light. That philosophy is not just something Il Volo speaks about. It is something they live inside every performance. And so we arrive at the heart of what makes this trio unlike almost anything else in contemporary music. They are three young men who grew up in public, who learned what it meant to love and to lose and to stand on stage the very next evening and pour all of it, every unresolved feeling, every quiet joy, every nameless ache, into a voice and offer it to strangers. Viewers around the world shared how this transformed their understanding of what music could be. Not entertainment. Not performance. Something closer to confession. Something closer to prayer. The final image I want to leave you with is this: a concert in Milan, toward the end of a long tour, when exhaustion had softened every edge. The three of them stood together at the lip of the stage, the lights low, the orchestra quiet. They sang the last song of the evening without microphones, or so it seemed. The sound was so intimate, so close, it felt like something happening in the room of your own chest. The crowd was still. And when the last note faded, there was, again, that silence. That sacred, communal silence that only music at its most honest can create. And then the arena erupted, and people who had come as strangers turned to each other like old friends, because they had shared something that cannot be named but will never be forgotten. Il Volo does not just perform. They unite. They cross borders of language, of culture, of generation, of grief. They remind us that love, in all its complicated, beautiful, heartbreaking forms, is the one language none of us has to translate. And that is perhaps the greatest thing they have never quite told the public, because it cannot be told. It can only be felt. If this story moved you, if any of these moments stirred something in your memory or your heart, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us which performance touched you most. Tell us which song made you feel seen. We read every word. And if you are new here, welcome, we would love for you to stay. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss a story told with this much heart. Because there are so many more to come.